Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. So today's video is for a very special person. Her name is Sondra and she goes by Sondra's Sparkly Sets here on YouTube. Today is her birthday collab, and she said her birthday is actually February 13th. But of course we're doing the collab this weekend, and it was so much fun doing this. At first I had a really hard time coming up with an idea, but I'm always down for a good collab. I wasn't quite sure if I was going to make it today because I have had a screaming headache for like 3 days now, and like migraine won't go away, doesn't matter what I do. So but I still pulled through and pushed through and decided to get something out. I did make some mistakes in today's video, but they all worked out for the better, and that is the wonderful thing about art, is you can just turn it into anything that you want to make it. And so let's talk about Sondra for a minute, because one of my favorite things about her is that she is so supportive. She constantly watches my videos. She is always, if you have a small business, she'll support your small business and things like that. So she's a wonderful person to have in our community, and she is just such a sweetheart. So I could not wait to join this collab. So what I'm doing here is I'm just showing you how I prep my nail art brushes before I use them. I always wipe them down with alcohol. It just kind of softens the bristles up a little bit. And I always make sure that I buy the nail art brushes with the lid. In the beginning, I was showing you my Melody Susie gel polish. This is my favorite white. It is super white, like as bright as you can get. And I will show you a comparison here in a minute and what I'm talking about. But as I was growing up, one of my favorite kind of birthday parties were skating parties. And it just screamed 80s to me when she said 80s birthday theme. I was going to do some character nail art, and then I was like, you know what? I was like, what was my favorite kind of party to attend when I was younger or growing up in the 90s, being born in the 80s? And it was skating parties. I actually was really into rollerblades, but I have always been so fascinated by people who could skate. So I am starting out with an outline of a roller skate. And these are just really rough outlines. So these are not like the definitive. It's literally just like a sketch, because what I also wanted to do was some graffiti nail art. I've been wanting to do graffiti nail art for a really long time. And so again, here in a little bit, I will explain what kind of happened in my oopsies. But for now, I'm just showing you what the outlines look like. So after I did the skate, I did go in and take my dotting tool and make the little eyes, like where the laces are, and I'll show you how I did the laces a little bit later. But then now I am going in with the letters, and this is really challenging to do on nails, because it's like, where do I stop and where do I start, and how are these letters going to look somewhat even though graffiti style is not like a perfect, you don't have to have perfect lines, and you don't have to have perfect sizes, and your letters can be all different sizes, designs, whatever the case may be. But I did it. I squeezed it in. And then here I'm going in with my matte top coat. Now this matte top coat is usually pretty good about not getting all like coagulated and nasty in the bottle, but in this case it did. It's been sitting there for a minute, so I just take my tweezers and I pull all of that like gunk out of there. And then I also took my lint-free wipe that you see in the upper right hand corner, and I just wipe the brush off. It does have a little bit of alcohol on it already, so it just wiped it off and made sure that there weren't any of those like chunky things on my matte top coat. So all matte top coats that I have ever had so far have done that. It's just what they do. And I don't know if it's because of the chemicals and the properties in it that make it look matte when you cure it. I don't know. But this other hack I learned from V Nailed It. I just take a lint-free wipe with alcohol and wipe it down before I actually do the top coat, because I don't want the black to smear. And then here I'm showing you, compared to Melody Susie, this Rarism white gel polish actually is not that bright white, but when you put it on the nails, it looks really nice. But for some reason in the bottle, it does look a little bit yellow. And so the other reason why I chose this gel polish for this part, and why I mentioned it doesn't matter if you're just doing a rough sketch at first, is because I'm going to go in and I'm going to fill all these lines in, or all these letters in, I should say, with this white gel polish. And from there, you can drag it out and do whatever you need to do, make the letters bigger, smaller, however you want to do it. And then I'm going in with some pigment powder. So I absolutely love using pigment powder. I love neons. And when she said 80s theme, I was like, okay, we have to do something neon. And then I was like, graffiti was really popular in the 80s and when I was coming up in the 90s. And then on top of that, like I mentioned, I just loved skating parties. So that's where I came up with the roller skate idea. And so I just start dabbing this pink on, and you can see I'm using this applicator brush at first. So I will change it up a little bit. When I went in to do the purple, I realized like it wasn't really smudging or smearing the way that I wanted it to. And the thing I like about using these applicator brushes is you can really get very direct and put the pigment powder where you actually want it to go. But I use matte top coat in the background, and if you're familiar with pigment powders, they actually stick to matte top coat. And so I started using this sponge that I got these sponges off of Amazon with this little like grabber tool, and I really love the way that it turned out. But I noticed that the matte top coat was sticking to the top coat, and I didn't want it to do that. But then it was kind of a blessing in disguise, because then I just went ahead and did the same thing with the pink to blend it in even better. And the reason why it was a blessing is because this started to turn out looking like an airbrush t-shirt. If you were also grew up in the 80s and 90s, airbrush t-shirts were like the thing. Like they were so popular. Maybe not in your region, but in the Midwest, every kid I know owned an airbrush t-shirt of some sort, whether you went to a place we call Adventureland in Des Moines, Iowa, or some kind of theme park. Like they were always floating around. And so I just loved the way that this look like turned out in the end. And then after I was done with the pigment powder, I made sure to brush it off really well. And then I went in with this 15mm nail art liner brush and just went around the letters again to make them pop. I love using black with neon colors. It just looks amazing and I absolutely love it. So after I'm finished with this part, like here I'm showing you what the H looks like and just how defined and how good it looks. I went ahead and I did the laces on the skate. I just went swipe one way with my brush, making kind of a curved line, right? Because skates are not flat. So I wanted it to look like, the laces were going over the skate. And then I also went around the wheels where I did the wheels, but I wanted the wheels to be the same color as the graffiti. I thought that was really cool and a nice way to tie the colors in and everything in together. And the place I used to skate a lot. I grew up in Council Bluffs, Iowa, which is across the river from Omaha, Nebraska, if you're familiar with that area. And I had so much fun at this. Our skating rink used to be called the Roll Arena. It's like Roll Arena, but it was all one word. It's the Roll Arena. Like you just say it all together. That's just how we pronounce it there. And so again, very regional thing, but I love the skating rink. And you used to just get all your friends together on a Friday night, and for $2, there were even all night skates that would be like for $5. You could just have fun all night, like till midnight, 2 o'clock in the morning. It was a blast. And then you go have a slumber party with your friends and meet up with your little boyfriends there. And they always had like the best concession stands, right? Could never go without getting pretzels with cheese or nachos. I just love going skating. And as I got older, I grew out of roller skates, and I really loved rollerblades. Like that was like one of my favorite things to do. So I still like to do that, but my knees are like, no, you can't. Now that I'm getting closer to my 40s, they're like, no, girl, like you just need to sit down for a while. But also, for some reason, like whenever I think of Sondra, I always think of that little heart emoji with the stars on it. So I was like, let's go ahead and get like the little, put some of these little 4-point stars on there. So I just took those sponges again, and I just, since it was, again, the pigment was sticking to the matte top coat, I just took the sponges and I did a few areas of pink and a few areas of purple where I wanted to put the stars, and then of course around her name. And yeah, like if we were living back in this time again, this would have been a really, really cute t-shirt where it's like a skating birthday party and things like that. And oh God, I'll never forget like when they brought the big cake out, or your parents bought the cake and they put it on a table and they had all the really cute like tablecloths and everything like that. It's just so much fun, and I just miss it so much. Honestly, even as an adult, I would love to do this again with all my friends. So I did go in with some shiny top coat and I cured that for 2 minutes. So happy birthday to Sondra. Thank you all so much for being the best part of my channel. Thank you for inviting me to this collab, and I hope you guys have a great weekend. I love you. Bye.